Hello and welcome to my first ever homework podcast. Today we'll be talking about some stuff I learned in my theology class, so let's get started. So before I actually get into what I learned about in this class, I'd just like to give you guys some background on this class. So this is the Summa Theologica class. They have a great teacher, right? Mr. Palmer's awesome, and it's a really funny class because it's pretty deep, right? And sometimes I can be deep, and other times I can't, right? I'm very shallow. It's really funny because, sometimes you get the concept and you're like, yes, I feel so intelligent and smart. And other times you're just like, what the heck is happening? And you feel really dumb. And it's super funny. And I really love this class. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the goodness and the malice of actions and intentions in the moral act. So St. Thomas Aquinas teaches that you can have good actions, right? But bad intentions. So for instance, this would be like a guy helping out at the soup kitchen, right? He helps out there not because he wants the hungry to have food, but because he gets to take home the leftovers and he is the one who wants the food, right? He wants free leftovers from the soup kitchen. So that would be considered a bad act because he is helping himself and not those who he has signed up to help. The second thing I want to get into is the circumstance of moral acts. And what this means is you can kind of do stuff that would seem shady and terrible at first glance, but really they aren't that bad, right? So, for instance, let's say this father learns that his daughter has been smoking, right? So he goes into his bedroom while she's gone and he steals her packs of cigarettes. This, I don't think, would be considered a bad act, right? Because his intention isn't to steal, it's to save his daughter's health by taking away the thing that is causing her pain, right? So right now, his intention is to help his daughter and not to take her stuff. So that would be considered okay, even though the action might be stealing, the intention's to save. So the third thing I learned in class is that the body is not necessary for eternal happiness. And this makes a lot of sense when you get into it. Because when you die, your soul is separated from the body. And hopefully you get to heaven, right? And that is your ultimate happiness, right? There's nothing that will ever compare to that. And so, since it's just your soul up there, you don't need your body to have eternal happiness. But here on earth, it's interesting because there are some things that you need a body for in order to have happiness, right? Temporary happiness, that is. So let's say swimming brings you happiness, right? You're going to need like your whole entire body for swimming, right? If you don't have legs or arms, you can't kick and you can't swim and you'll end up dying, right? So here on earth, there are some things such as swimming and baseball or singing where you're going to need parts of your body in order to get that temporary happiness. But in heaven, you are not required to have a body. So to have eternal happiness. So that's pretty great because you won't have one. So another thing I learned in class is that every act of man belongs to his end, right? So everything you try to do, all the simple, tiny actions, are trying to get you to happiness, which is heaven, right? And even sinning is trying to get you to heaven in a way because you want happiness, right? So you're striving for happiness, but you fall short and you strive for worldly happiness. So you're trying to fill that gap of heavenly happiness with worldly happiness, and that's where you start to sin, right? So even sinning is trying to get to heaven in a way, I suppose. And I mean, making yourself a cup of coffee is trying to strive to get to that end happiness. I love a good cup of coffee in the morning, but it's not going to replace God. So everything you do is for your end goal of happiness, which is kind of amazing to think about. That all the stupid tiny things you do, like pick up a pencil, is trying to get to heaven. So the final thing we learned about in class, my class, was what are the worldly happinesses you could have, right? And so the first one, there's 6 of them, I believe, is wealth, right? Money, power, riches. The second one is honor, right? Your pride, your name, your personality, I guess, I suppose. It's a word I'm looking for, which I can't find. Um, and the third one is fame/glory, right? Becoming a movie star, being well known, popular. That's one of the worldly happinesses. Fourth one is power, becoming the president and CEO, being able to have power and do what you want. The fifth one is any bodily good, so like eating like 6 cartons of ice cream is a worldly happiness until you vomit, and the sixth one, the final one is any type of pleasure. So like going on a roller coaster is temporary happiness, because you have that pleasure, the thrill in it. So those are the 6 we learned about. And in and of themselves, these happinesses aren't bad. It's when you overuse them and you try to fill the hole where you want your eternal happiness with them that it becomes wrong, right? So being like, oh, I have a little extra money, that does make me happy, right? But I'm not trying to be like, I need all the money and be greedy, because that's a bad use of the happiness of wealth, So that's the final thing I learned about in class today. Thank you all for joining me, I suppose. Have fun until next homework assignment when I can't find something to do. Bye, y'all.